Hi, I've wanted to share this for a while. Interested in people's thoughts on this. It's a weird as hell situation, and it's been a very painful year and a half for me and my family. About 10 months ago, my wife of 18 years casually told me that a coworker was having a vasectomy and asked me what I thought of that. I said I was surprised a coworker would be talking about such a personal thing at work. And then she told me that they had become quite close friends, and then she smiled, a warm smile at thinking about him. I instantly knew something was not right. So that night, I waited until she was asleep and checked her messages on her computer. It turns out she had been texting this guy for the last 3 months. They went to a dinner at a mutual friend's, which my wife had told me she would be at, but had said that it was just her and her female friend. She omitted to tell me about the coworker. Fast forward 2 weeks, I have to travel out of town to see my family, taking my son with me. Turns out she had arranged a lunch with this guy, but he bailed at the last minute, which is innocuous in itself, but she was so utterly distraught at this cancellation and arranged to meet him on the waterfront where his son had rock climbing lessons instead. In short, she was desperate to see him. That afternoon she had friends over, and they talked about me and him. She said they were just friends, and with him and her other female friend she could get all her needs met. Well, almost all her needs. She did note that doesn't leave much for my husband though. She talked and compared me to him, talking about how he was such a great talker and I'm not much of a talker. At one point she talks about how hard it is him canceling on her, saying it's not like having a husband on tap. So I watch and wait for a while. I manage to get access to her emails and watch their ongoing flirting. I go up to her work and see the two of them hanging out in the park laughing and laughing. Turns out they have lunch together every day. She leaves work early on a Thursday at 3 p.m. and they go to a bar for 3 hours, and then she walks him almost all the way home before she turns around and walks back into town for her pilot's lesson. Perfect cover. About once a month, they take a long 3-hour or so lunch break together. I confront her and break down. She denies everything, tells me lie after lie. We eventually get into marriage counseling, where their counselor tells me I need to give her space, and she needs to give me reassurance. Well, for 6 months, I give her space, but I get no reassurance in return. In fact, she uses the space to get to spend more and more time with him. Eventually, the counselor tells her she needs to park her friendship with this guy, as it has caused a lot of damage to your marriage. She is very quiet for a few days, and then asks that we stop seeing the marriage counselor. She pleads for time until she can get a new therapist. In the meantime, she has stopped seeing her therapist after she told her everything. I don't know what everything entails, probably a number of things I'm not aware of. And the therapist said that it sounded like she was the bad guy. She hires a second therapist and tells the new therapist about me raging, being angry, controlling her movements, etc., but nothing about the affair partner. So to the new therapist, I seem like a controlling maniac and emotional abuser. The therapist gives an off-the-cuff diagnosis of me as a classic narcissist, and that gives my wife the justification she needs to separate and seem like the good person to her friends and family. The crazy thing is, it's clear this guy doesn't feel the same way, and she seems to have destroyed our entire marriage for what amounts to a schoolgirl crush. It's possibly he is only partially aware of the depth of her feeling for him. My head spins. Now, it seems she's still gaga for him, but is now dating guys on Tinder because she's lonely and he has, a family and a wife. It's all weird as hell, but makes a kind of twisted sense, I guess.